Happy Sunday, my dear friends, and welcome to our homily series as we reflect on the scripture readings of this 33rd Sunday in the church's year. The three readings that form our reflection will come first for the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, chapter 31, verse 10 to 13, verse 19 to 20, and verse 30 to 31. The second reading is from Paul's first letter to the Thessalonians, chapter 5, verse 1 to 6. And the gospel is from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 25, verse 14 to 30. And the good news I share with you today is that if we are resourceful with the blessings that we have received, we will receive divine approval. If we are resourceful with our blessings, we will receive divine approval. Therefore, our prayer today is for the grace to overcome the spirit of laziness, but to be resourceful with the blessings that we have received. Now, you may have heard this saying that the only reward for good work is more work. The only reward for good work is more work. This is not said out of any ill will. It's not said out of any ill disposition to overflog the willing horse. No. But it is that people want to always identify with success. They are drawn to what works because failure is always and often. It is for this same reason that many people rush to invest on stocks they believe that are performing. They do not say, well, there are 1,000 other people investing in this stock. So far this stock is performing, everybody will like to invest in the same spirit that our scripture today wants us to see that God is also drawn to resourcefulness. God is also drawn to resourcefulness and to resourceful people, and he blesses them the more. And using the parable of the gospel today, we learn how this works with God. In that gospel parable story, we're told about a master who, on his going out, gave 3 of his servants different amounts of talents. Different amounts. The first, he gave 5. The second, he gave 2. And the third one, he gave 1 talent. And when we read through, at the point, that talent was also called money. So let us call it money, something of great treasure. And he gave them different amounts of this treasure based on their abilities. The first one traded with his and doubled it, got 5 more. The second one traded with his own, doubled it, and got 2 more. But the third person, we're told, buried his own in the ground. On the master's return, he called these servants to come and give an account of what he gave them. Now, the first 2 presented their account of how they doubled what was given to them. And for this, they received approval of the master and got more reward for their hard work. On the other hand, the third person came and said, I know you to be a hard master, sowing where you did not, reaping where you did not sow. I was afraid, and I buried it in the ground. So now take what belongs to you. This third servant who did not invest the talent given him was upbraided. He was scolded, and what he thought he had was taken away and was told, give it to the person who has, because The more you get, the more you have, the more you will get. We realize from that story that the intent of the master in giving them those talents is that they may use it for productive use. Yes, it was not said to them. All the gospel told us they were given. They were not told what to do. But you and I have an advantage to know that because the master said, why didn't you put it in the bank so that when I come, I can draw the dividend from it? It means then that the master wanted some dividend from what he's given to the servants. And the way he praised those who invested what was given to them showed that he really desired something to be gotten out of what he has given to them. Now, if we take God to be the master, because this parable is about us and God, if God is that master, which means you and I are the people, those servants, gifted differently. And we're gifted these things according to our abilities. And the God who has given them to us wants us to apply them for something useful, to gain some value on those things that have been given to us. He wants us to be resourceful, using what he has given to us to yield something for him. Now, we got the same sense of resourcefulness in our first reading today, when the proverb begins to talk about a worthy wife. But as we listen to these scripture readings today, this reflection, we are not talking only to wives. We are talking to wives and husbands. We're talking to sons and daughters. We're talking to all sorts of people. So it's not so much about wives. It's to the word to every person, a worthy person. Therein, what attracts and what makes person a worthy person was not something marked by physical appearance or by physical acquisition or anything that is ephemeral out there. No, the mark of worthiness was not of beauty, it was not of strength, it was not of skill, it was not of eloquence for A or B or C. The mark of worthiness, as was put there, was in the resourceful character of that wife, using what she has in order to create the abundance she desires. And it was for these she was praised. It was these that the husband was praised. It is for these that the children are praised, because she was resourceful, using what she got to create the abundance she desired. Another reason for which she was praised was in her ability to be charitable. And charity is always about what I have, sharing with the others. That's the mark of worthiness. But in our world today, people seek approval and they seek affirmation for everything and for anything. People want universal trophies just because they are enlisted. Check out what happens in our school system and in our playgrounds. Just once you're enlisted, you get a trophy. But today, the scripture tells us that one gains approval and one gains affirmation for us in the sight of God is our resourcefulness. Our resourcefulness to add value to what God has given to us and to increase it. The first servant got 5 and he increased it 5 more. He added value to it. The second servant got 2 and she increased it and added value to it. That's being resourceful. That's what was praised. That's what was approved. That was what was affirmed. You recall that in demanding that they produce, he was not worried if they brought the same quantity of dividend. No, because he knew he gave them things different. One got 5, one got 2, one got 1. He gave them differently. So in this way, God who has given us and God who knows our abilities does not demand a uniformity of results, but a uniformity of effort. He does not demand a uniformity of result, but a uniformity of effort. He wants us to make effort to add value to what he has given to us. He's not going to say that you did not get 10, you did not get 20, you did not get 30. All he's looking for the effort you put to add value to what is given to you because he knows your abilities. Now, let us then take a closer look at ourselves. Let us think about how God has gifted us, how God has blessed us, and how God gave us different abilities. Think about that for yourself. And when you thought about this, ask yourself and answer honestly. If we have been applying these blessings and gifts of God for fruitfulness, not any fruitfulness, but divine fruitfulness. Take the instance of our faith. Has your faith yielded fruit for God? Whom have you touched with the gift of your faith to begin to have faith? Whom have you converted for God? Who have you brought into the presence of God? Who hitherto did not know God? Whom have you brought into the church? Who hitherto was not going to church? What of your intelligence? A lot of us prove that we are smart. We are the smartest people on earth. How has your intelligence borne fruit for God? Have you been able to apply your intelligence in the way you talk, in the way you write, in the way you associate to bring people for God? Has it borne fruit for God? What of those who have economic strength and political power, but who claim to be children of God like you and I? Have your economic power and your political power borne fruit for God? Have you produced dividend for God? Have you applied your abilities for God's greater glory? Or are you sulking and crying because I did not have this, and this other person has this gift, I did not have this gift, this other person had this blessing, I did not get this blessing? Are you sulking away and crying away and trying to compare yourself with the incomparable? Your abilities are different. Our abilities are different, and God has gifted us differently. He's not asking for a uniformity of dividend, but a uniformity of effort. So don't sulk away. Don't cry away. Apply what you have. Apply who you are for God's greater glory. Your faith, your intelligence, your strength, your political and economic powers, apply them for God's gift of glory. And don't be even worse than this servant. He buried the talent on the ground and was able to give it to the master to say, take your talent back. A lot of us have not only buried our talents, but they have squandered our talent. And they have nothing to give back. They have nothing to show. They have nothing to show for their faith. They have nothing to show for their talent. They have nothing to show for their intelligence. They have nothing to show for the economic and political power they occupied and they have. Nothing to show. They've squandered it. They are worse than that servant who hid his own on the ground. Are you in that category? Or are you just in the category of those who hide their own? Or are you in the category of those who apply resourcefully their blessings, their gifts, in order to yield for God? You know what? There's something St. Paul tells us today in that second reading. That now it is light enough to use our blessings to produce for God. And you win approval and affirmation. God is not going to provide a universal trophy. No. Just because we are his children on that last day. No. He will reward us according to our resourcefulness, using his blessings in our life to win more for him. If we do so, we'll be blessed. If we fail, I'm sorry. May God bless his word in us. May he give us the strength to overcome laziness, to overcome indolence, to know that who we are, what we have, belong to God, and he's given them to us that we may apply them for his own greater glory. Peace be with you.